Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're well, and I hope your marriage is also well. But there are lots of people, like a friend of mine, who spoke to me yesterday telling me that she is absolutely frustrated. She wants to walk away from the relationship. She feels as though that she's been carrying the burden of the relationship, and he's doing little to nothing to at least put the relationship back on track, the marriage back on track. And some people feel like they're existing in a home where the shadows are never lifted. There are some people who are going through constant conflict. But I have good news. I would like to share with you a marriage hack, a well-researched, evidence-based hack. A hack if you implement only within 20 minutes, 21 minutes to be exact. In a year, there are hundreds of thousands, maybe over 200,000 minutes in a year. But if you take 21 minutes in an entire year, 7 minutes per quarter, you will find that your relationship would improve. Of course, there are no guarantees and there are other things that you need to do, but this could be a shot in the arm, could put your relationship, whether it's boring, whether it's in conflict, or even if it's happy and healthy, it can be the thing that put your relationship on steroids. We're going to watch this video, and as we go through the video, I will make commentaries about it because I think that it is very good information. There are other parts that I think could have been more detailed, and I will give you a lot more detail as we go along. And I will also give you a worksheet that you can download and fill in at your own convenience. In fact, it's right in the description right now. If you go to the description and tell me where to send it, I'll be happy to send it to you. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Professor Eli.
Today I'll talk about marriage. And when I use the term marriage, I mean it not only to talk about the standard definition of marriage, official marriages, but also any stable, long-term relationship, romantic relationship that people have. What I'll do is I'll tell you about a new procedure that my collaborators and I have developed that can help you sustain high-quality marriage over time. And in the end, if I'm successful, I will have convinced you that spending the 21 minutes a year it takes to follow our procedure is perhaps the single best investment you will ever make in the quality of your life.
Okay, that is a big promise. So we are going to look keenly at what he says, the evidence of what the research he has done, and we will do an evaluation as to whether or not he can live up to the promise that he is making.
Before I get there, let's get on the same page about some background information. The first thing I want to talk about is something that we all missed. There is a large change happening in our social milieu, and we largely haven't noticed it. We've been focused on very shiny new things like the advent of online dating and the advent of social networking sites. But we missed something far more fundamental to the way humans have socialized for a long time. Specifically, we missed the fact that our social networks, defined in terms of who our intimate social connections are, is getting narrower. We have our networks are smaller and smaller over time, and we're increasingly emphasizing the marital bond more than ever before. Let me give you some evidence for this. So this is a study that was published in 2006. It's a study that reports evidence from a large-scale study of Americans that were asked this question in 1985 and in 2004. Specifically, they were asked, looking back over the last 6 months, who are the people with whom you discussed matters important to you? In other words, who are your close, intimate confidants?
Wow.
And the percentage of Americans in 1985 who listed a co-member of a group as a close confidant was 26.1%. By 2004, that number had plummeted to 11.8%. How about neighbors? In 1985, 18.5% of Americans had at least one neighbor who was a close confidant. By 2004, that number had plummeted to 7.9%. Contrast these numbers with what's happening with the spouse. More and more of us are increasingly dependent, increasingly focused on the spousal relationship at the expense of this much broader social milieu we used to have. Most of us have missed this change, and most social commentators have missed the change. There's an interesting exception. Some of you will be familiar with Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. She has an excellent quote about what we expect from marriage these days as opposed to what we expected in the past. It's not enough that you have this sort of decent relationship with this person. He also has to be your best friend. He also has to be your only romantic partner. He also has to be somebody who inspires you every day.
Okay.
He has to be somebody who is going to help your career. He has to be somebody who co-parents with you. He has to meet you on 25 different levels of intersection. And I think this is right. Relative to any time in the past, we're depending on the marital bond more and more for these emotional, physical, career-related needs than ever before. And what that means...
Let's take a breather right there. He speaks very fast and he's not really pacing himself. Now, the implication of this, and this study that he mentioned came out in 2006. That's over 19 years ago. And I believe I don't know what the recent statistics are, or if they have actually duplicated the study, but I think it has actually even gotten worse. So 1985, you had a lot of people that you engaged with, you had confidence, not just within your immediate family, but with people outside the family, the neighbors, somebody at church, somebody at work. And so you can spread the load of emotional needs, getting your emotional needs met across a wide spectrum of people. But what he's actually saying here, the research shows that more and more people are depending on their spouse, their partner, their husband or wife for those needs that were met. The implication is that there is a heavy load put on the fragile marital bond, and perhaps marriage wasn't really made to bear the brunt and the weight of such emotional needs. Marriages are going through what I would call a renaissance right now. People are coming into marriages with these unexpressed or hidden expectations. Sometimes they're not even aware that they have these expectations, much less being able to articulate the expectations. And many marriages are breaking because of the pressure that is put on just this one single person to meet the needs of this other individual, whether they're husband or wife.